Okay, we are back again here in another live stream. Good morning, everyone. And okay, we have the Nasdaq charts over here, and we can see from the 15-minute chart, I emphasize on it. We have the buy side liquidity over here resting on 15-minute chart that I like to highlight it, and this will be our buy side liquidity. To me, today we have a bullish bias, and I'm expecting to see higher prices. The first target to me is at 20,337, and now we have this small BC in the 15-minute chart. That just traded into the top of it, and now it immediately dropped back to the 5-minute chart. We can see at 7:30:25 we had the candle with these wicks both up and down of the market, so we cleared the buy side and sell side liquidity on the both sides of Now we have opened in the market at 9:30. So on the 1-minute chart, if you go to the regular trading hours, I would like to measure the settlement to the open of today's trading at 9:30 and get back to this over here. Now we are trading to the consequent encouragement of this week over here in the 5-minute chart. If you look, this can be the first delivery of the price. To me, it was more pertinent, and I was more interested to see a run lower to this sell side liquidity on the 1-minute chart over here, but the market first decided to go higher, and let's see what it does in terms of creating the first presented fair value gap. We have a little bit too much levels over here. I don't want to see the extensions. All right. This is the opening price, and down here we have the 50% of the opening range gap. So far we don't have any first presented fair value gap formed. Note that we are now trading inside this 5-minute BC that I'm expecting to have this as an inversion. We can see the bodies of the candles are respecting over here, and now we have a big run lower. If we close below this inversion fair value gap, I'm expecting a run higher to the low of this 5-minute inversion fair value gap, and after that scrolling down to this sell side liquidity over here, and ideally the consequent encouragement of the opening range gap that is right below the above the new week opening gaps low. So far we have purged and cleared the buy side liquidity over here, the buy side liquidity after 9 o'clock. And the next liquidity that is intact in the market is the liquidity from 8 o'clock over here in the sell side liquidity. I'm expecting the market is reaching to that level, but let's see and wait for the first presented fair value gap. Now we are trying to reach to the consequent encouragement of this week in 5-minute chart, and now we tapped into that. So let's see if here we are creating the first presented fair value gap of the day from this candle's high to this candle's open. Sorry, we have to consider also the volume imbalances over here. I'm placing a buy position over here and aiming for okay, right now we are in a long position in the marketplace, and we are expecting to see higher prices going towards the buy side liquidity over here at 20,337. This is the buy side liquidity that is my point of interest for today's session. It is based on the relative equal highs formed on yesterday's trading session over here. Now we are trading above the consequent encouragement of this 5-minute week over here at 20,265, and now we are trying to reach the upper quadrant of that. Note that for placing the stop loss in this position, I have placed this at 20 handles lower than my entry. That is right below the consequent encouragement of this 5-minute BC formed over here, and I'm expecting a run towards this above the yesterday's first presented fair value gap as my target. Once again traded into the first presented fair value gap. And now I'm looking at this week's level, especially the midpoint at 262. Now we closed the entire range of the first presented fair value gap, and let's see how this candle is getting closed over here. Alright, the first position we got stopped out after an initial run over here. We got stopped out, but it's not a problem. It's probably going to use this as an inversion fair value gap. So I inquired this candle to be closed below that and see a reaction to the market. That the market is not trying to reach the upper portion of this inefficiency over here. Look, this candle is respecting exactly the inefficiency formed over here by its candle, by its body. So we cannot say this is acted as an inversion fair value gap. I'm asking for more information from the market. We had a week above the consequent encouragement into this volume imbalance over here. If we can close below this inversion fair value gap, I will place a sell order over here to start going lower, but I doubt it. I'm just waiting for the market to give me more information. Okay, now we can have a trade at this level over here. to go short, aiming to the 50% of the opening range gap, and the stop can be covering this CB formed over here. Now trading to the high of the opening range gap. Even if we go and have a close below this area over here, I will use this red candles as my breaker block to go short and go to this sell side liquidity and 50% of the open range gap. Okay, now we got into this position and the target is the 50% level of the opening range gap. Now we have traded into the low of the 5-minute fair value gap. That is now changed its characteristic to inversion. Now the market is working below the first presented fair value gap over here. Okay, the inversion first presented fair value gap has been tapped, and let's wait for the market to see if it's delivering the sell side liquidity resting below the market over here or no. Now we are getting back to the breaker block. Touching the midpoint of the breaker block at this time of the market, and still to me short-term bias is touching the sell side liquidity resting below these relative equal lows over here in the marketplace, and preferably going to touch the low of the 50% level of the open range gap at 20,186. Now we are trading into the first presented fair value gap of the PM session from last Friday, and once again tapped into the opening price at 9:30 opening bell. Okay, here I'm trailing down my stop loss over here because in this area it must be difficult for the price to go above because we have a lot of back and forth, so the market is kind of balanced over here with all the candles over here. So in this case I'm saving myself from incurring another loss. Note the volume imbalances formed over here in the candlesticks, and we don't have any bodies closing above these volume imbalances over here. Now we tapped into the 15-minute PC. I place my stop loss above the breaker block over here, and now I'm just waiting for the market to slip lower toward this sell side liquidity. We reach to the upper quadrant of the open range gap. Placing my stop loss above the opening price of this candle because I'm not expecting to see any run higher from that area, and by doing this I'm feeling a little safe. Tapping into the low of the 15-minute PC over here, after touching the upper quadrant of the open range gap for today's trading session, and the consequent encouragement of that 15-minute PC. I'm looking at this inefficiency formed over here in the price. There's a small CB forming here. Once again tapped into the opening price at 9:30, and let's see. Okay, we got out of the position with profit for the third time. It's exactly as I was expecting, and right now I'm expecting another run to the first presented fair value gap, and after that sending the price lower probably. Note that we just fell short of touching the high of the new week opening gap. Only for one tick, and that's why I'm saying over here we have a lot of orders listing, a lot of positions in the form of sell stops. Okay, by closing above this 15 minutes, do you have any connection over here? Now I'm looking at this volume imbalances over here. These several volume imbalances, and ideally the first presented fair value gap can be touched once again if the sell side liquidity over here is still in play. We tapped into the first presented fair value gap of today, and I'm waiting to see if they are showing a reaction from here or no. How they are going to treat this first presented fair value gap will help me to engage for another setup. We closed right above the consequent encroachment of the first presented fair value gap over here, and now getting back to this area. I don't think that we are going to have any problem for seeing lower prices at this point, because this sell side liquidity, in my opinion, is still untouched, and we require to reach over here since we cleared the buy side liquidity up here in the market. After that, we cleared the sell side liquidity and minus sell side liquidity over here for this relative equal lows. Once again, cleared this with this low over here, and finally we cleared the sell side liquidity over here, but the main one is resting over here from 8 o'clock. I'm looking at this small BC formed over here, and if it can act as a springboard to send price higher, because we do have a breaker block over here, low, high, and lower low. This white candle over here can act as our breaker block for sending the price higher. But right now the market is respecting the midpoint of the consequent encouragement of the first presented fair value gap. Traded into this small portion of CB, I apologize. Okay, after closing this candle, I'm pretty sure that they are going to send the price lower over here. So I'm going short over here and placing my target on the high of the new week opening gap. This stop can be placed above this candles, the red candlestick's high over here. Let's put it here. Now we are trading inside this CB formed at 9:39 o'clock and trading into the top of the first presented fair value gap. market has a lot of overlapping and risks over here at this time. This creates a difficult condition for trading, and I prefer to lower my expectation and bring it to this place over here for my exit at 600. And I will see if the market has a potential or power. I will increase my TP from this point. But so far the market doesn't show any willingness. Okay, let's see. I'm bringing down my stop loss over here. Once again we got out in by hitting the stop loss in profit. So at this point I'm just sitting aside and requiring more information from the market, because as I said, the market is a little acting weird today. A lot of up and downs with a lot of wicks overlapping each candles and the previous ones. So this is not the very perfect condition in the marketplace for trading. As you can see, these big red candles come here, and then the next candle goes all the way back and takes all of the range. This is not a high probability and low resistance condition for price run. So I'm just waiting, and it's just 37 minutes from the opening bell. We don't have a lot of candles on data, and maybe they're using all of this time as a distortion in time for the later delivery in the market. That will be ideally this buy side liquidity over here. Now we are trading below the 50% of this week, and let's see what the market is doing over here. You can see the bodies of these candles are respecting kind of this fair value gap. It's true that they're outlined a little bit from this, but you can consider this as a not error, but it happens sometimes in the market that they can have this much of drawing outside with their bodies. I'm looking at this week over here and the midpoint of that. Are they gonna use that week and the consequent encouragement of that? Trading at the upper quadrant and now to the consequent encouragement of the week. Now getting back again to the low of the first presented fair value gap. Let me edit this part over here. That is BC on Thursday. May 09. Okay, now we have traded below this level, and let's see if this time the market has the power to send it lower to this sell side liquidity over here. This is the type of move that I really don't like in the market. If they wanted to send the price lower, they should have done it in this candle and the very next candle. But you can see this candle goes back all the way and covers the whole price range over here. So this is a high resistance price delivery that is very difficult to trade for most of the traders. As you can see, today we had 2 losses and the other 2 positions were closed with a little profit, but we got stopped out. Now I'm watching, expecting, still I'm expecting to see send the price higher to this price of liquidity and at 337. But right now we are trading over here and we have this sell side liquidity resting below. So this makes the market a little difficult. I was hoping and expecting they send the market first to clear this buy sell side liquidity over here, and after that we create the BC and use the BC to send price higher. But apparently today we have a difficult day for trading and it is a high resistance in the market. You can see the price has a lot of overlaps. This is not very comfortable for trading. I'm here just to watch it and get insight for future practicing. I'm tape reading right now. I'm not interested in taking any trade at this moment unless it gives me a clear run, something like this run over here. But you can see they took it back immediately and the wicks of the candles are really high. The level of manipulation and stopping the price range over here is quite high today. Now the bodies of these candles are respecting the lower half of this first presented fair value gap. Let's see if it can send the price lower with the gap over here. received once again. We covered all the range of this red candle upside. That is not very favorable. Now I'm watching this candle's wick over here, how it's behaving to the midpoint of this candle's wick. Trying once again to reach the first presented fair value gap of today. Touching the opening price at 930 once again and starting going higher. This is not very favorable for visiting this sell side liquidity and 50% of the opening range gap over here. Once again reaching to the 15-minute BC and its consequent encouragement. This price run here looks a little cleaner actually, and it depends how this candle closes in 2 seconds. Okay, we closed around the opening price at 930, so this doesn't give us a very clean area for entering.